Hi, here's another video from Shamanescence. Today I'm actually creating this short video for Colleen who has been experiencing excruciating neck pain. And it's going to be for anyone who wants to just maybe get a little bit more freedom in this upper thoracic area. And of course we're working with the whole being, the whole self. And these are going to be very, very gentle exploratory exercises. And the reason why I say exploratory means because if you just repeat them like you would in the gym without thinking, just do the same thing each time, you're not going to learn. So each time you execute these, you want to have the mindset of exploration, like you've never done this before, you're looking for something new. And I'll be also touching upon some of the other videos you'll see on the channel with practicing inhibition, which is basically just learning how to just be without doing anything. So also there'll be several parts and you don't have to do all of this, and I also may be going too fast for you, so just watch little bits and play with them, at least several times a week. Daily would be great. And let's go for it. Let's see what happens. So first thing is I'm going to take my spectacles off. Well, I will. I'm doing this video on a cell phone and I can't see with them off. So hopefully I'm filming this where I've got my whole being. I'm going to look here sideways, make sure I've got my whole self in the video right here. And now the spectacles can come off. So you may have noticed I've put a book under my head. Some people may need a little bit more height, depending, if your shoulders are rolling forward and your neck tends to do this, the chest tends to drop, or the chest is very lifted. There may be different ways that your posture is sort of seemingly set. So the idea is that the head is moving a little bit forward and up, and the neck is very soft and released. You'll see I have my legs bent here, semi-supine position. Often in the Feldenkrais method, we lie with our legs long. Often even without support if it's not needed. But when we bend up the legs, it tilts the pelvis slightly and the back is flatter, and it's just much more comfortable, especially with lower back issues as well. So the first thing I'm wanting to do is just not do. If you've been very stressed and you have a very high activity lifestyle, you may find lying down and not doing as some kind of inner reactions going on, like you want to respond, you want to do something, you're uncomfortable. And we want to just observe that without judgment, without criticism, and just be here. Now, one of the first things is, I'm paying attention to sensations in the body, my skeleton, which parts of the thoracic spine, meaning the upper torso, ribs, sternum, back of the spine, make contact with the floor, or how far do I feel my sternum from the floor, my shoulders, my right and left shoulder, how to make contact with the floor, my hips. So to keep myself occupied as I slowly unwind, I can shift my attention to different sensations, different imagery of different perspectives of imagery of my skeleton. Now, I, like many people, have a habit of clenching in the inner thighs a little bit, so I check by maybe rolling the right or the left knee a very small micro amount in and out. As soon as I feel a bit of a jerk, I know that the muscle is going a little bit into a parasitical spasm, and I make the movement even smaller. So there's a little bit of movement on the foot, on the floor. It shifts weight to the inner foot, to the outer foot. And I'm not going for the full range. Obviously this knee could, go much wider, but I'm not interested in the full range. I'm interested in, am I able to let everything be soft and without clenching the muscles of my inner thigh, of my adductors, as the knee falls a little in and out. And I change legs. And whilst the gaze on my eyes are soft, my jaw is soft, my tongue is soft, I want to keep or allow to practice not doing. Easy breathing, noticing whether I hold my breath when I concentrate. So this is really useful, although we're not working directly with the head and neck, it does affect. You may notice this movement actually ripples up the spine to a certain degree. You may even feel an echo of movement all the way up in the upper spine. And perhaps both knees a little in and out. Very small, more about an exploration than a doing. And even knees in the same direction, so windscreen wipers. And this is really interesting because you feel the pelvis roll as the one hip slightly comes off the floor. Very small movement. It can be done even smaller. If there's any physical pain in the body, you want to go to such a micro level that it feels macro inwardly, but it's micro outwardly. Very small movement, micro movements. So I like to start often with the lower body, just to move, be a little distal from my brain, and then of course the rolling of the head whilst practicing not doing. So I'm not trying to turn my head as far as I can. I'm just allowing the head to roll as far as it wants to today, without any muscular effort. And the right and the left side may be slightly different. I check that my eyes are soft and I'm not staring or fixing the gaze, or it's okay to close your eyes as well, but I like practicing with the eyes open sometimes so we can sense the space around us, hear the sounds in the room, feel the temperature, the smells, just paying attention to all that is in a unified manner, meaning the outer world and the inner world is one. When I say outer, I mean outside my physical casing of skin and inner world, so there's no separation. And it's really useful for many people just to lie here and not do anything at all, not move the knees, not roll the head, just be. And you can have that for your first 5-10 minutes even so. You'll also want to notice if you have a habit of holding your feet tightly together or having them very far apart, and you want to find that place where your knees are floating forward and an elephant could sit on your knees and you feel very stable, so there's no clenching. And you may need to explore this a little bit, those of you who are new to this. Any kind of back problems, this is a great way to start your day. And even if it's really painful, just find a way to come onto your back. I like to roll and come down really slowly. Some people may have to hold a couch or a chair to get on the floor. So, this is the part of the spine that starts to sort of stick out, the dorsal spine, as we age from so much sitting, and some people get the C7 sticking out, protruding, and we don't want it to have any pain there. So a nice way we're going to begin the lesson after that lovely preparation is to create what I call a constraint when the palms don't move. And we've got our hands together. We've rolled the head a little bit, we did a little bit of movement in the knees. And what we don't want to do is going to be actually part of what we're going to do now. So I'm just going to reach one hand, so I'm brushing the palm, heel of the palm to the fingertips. Doesn't matter if you start right or left, and then the other. Now if you're clenching your teeth or holding your neck muscles, this will be quite limited in its range. And I don't know if you can see from the angle that I'm filming, I'm leaning my cell phone on a book. If my head and my jaw and my neck can be very soft, there will be movement going all the way up my upper spine into my head and neck. So my ear comes towards the direction with the shoulder that came off the floor, and there's a little bit of movement and yielding in the C7. Now for a lot of people this movement has been totally forgotten from a very young age, and you may find that you're muscling it and stiffening it and trying to move the shoulders independently from the rest of you. But in fact, the whole self is involved here. So if you find you're not getting that yielding movement and the head moving side to side quite naturally without trying, you can take your fingertips and place them. I would not on the vertebrae, but to the side of the vertebrae. You'll feel there's a bit of a groove going down the side of your spine. And you may want to just find that knobbly vertebra here, that's your C7. Go a little bit underneath it and move it sort of up and forward so that your head sort of falls back a little bit, like a pecking movement of a pigeon. You're sort of just pecking a little bit here. So I'm making it a little bit bigger than necessary just for the sake of the video. But this is the movement that needs to be free in order for there to be yielding. So here I'm you can even do this with your hands apart. I'm separating the shoulders and just rocking side to side. You kind of will feel a lovely massage between the scapulars, the shoulder blades. This is really, really nice. But if the neck and the head is stiff, it will feel like it won't feel very pleasant. So you want to find this kind of nodding of the head just happening naturally. Ear towards the shoulder that came off the floor, but sort of not lifting the head. So our lesson today, designed for Colleen, is to create the constraint of the hands, and we're just going to move the palms a little down and a little up, just not to the full range, and feel what's happening in your thoracic cage, meaning the chest. When the hands go down, you may or may not sense the chest moving down, and when the hands go up, the chest lifts up. You can even get a little bit of a bigger movement by lifting the head to show how the chest can move down, and maybe rolling the pelvis a little bit, tilting, pressing into the feet gently, and lifting the pelvis a little bit. So this is also one way just to remind the thoracic spine that it can move. And also the pelvis needs to be movable. So you may want to just remind the pelvis that it's movable by tilting without clenching the abdominals, just tilting the pelvis back and forth. So these little movements are micro and they need to be part of your movement. So when I bring my palms down, the pelvis presses a little bit into the small of the back into the floor. And when I reach my arms up, the pelvis tilts the other way, very slightly. Don't worry if you don't notice that. So it's just a little bit, and again, I may want to bring my feet a little closer. You can even roll the pelvis up to bring the arms closer to the floor. And you can lift the head and shoulders to bring the palms. See, I'm not bending my elbows, I'm keeping the arms straight. So those are little extra things that you can play with. And then side to side. So most of my students who are new to this, when we bring the palms side to side, the first thing that people want to do is slide the palms. And nothing wrong with sliding the palms, but you've lost the constraint. And then there's something, it's happening more in the shoulder joints and not so much in the thoracic spine. So, this is just a cheat. The idea of the constraint is that you have to find a way, by releasing the neck and the eyes, to allow the palms to come a little further down. And let's not worry today about getting the palms to the floor. We're not going to be so interested in, that's another lesson. We just wanted to find some kind of constraint with the hands so that the torso needs to rock a little side to side. And you can do this really slow. You can do this tiny, tiny, fast, fast, fast. So I've got the forward and back. The head responds. I've got the side to side, where one shoulder blade lifts off the floor, the other one presses down. And then there's the putting it all together, a very small circle. And this is really interesting because, again, if you're clenching it all in your jaw and your mouth, this will not be a pleasant or necessarily, it won't really work for you. So again, you're checking that the eyes are soft, the jaw is soft, and the head is mobile, it's movable. And you're making circles really small, maybe making it really small. You don't want to have any pain whatsoever. You don't want to push through pain. So if there's any pain here, you almost make it very micro. I'm going the other direction now. Very micro movement. And I'm really interested, is this really a beautiful circle, or is it kind of like a Salvador Dali circle? What's missing? Maybe you want to go back and forth in some areas here. Maybe you want to make this circle a little bigger, depending on your range. But I would always suggest starting really small, cleaning it up on a small level before coming to a bigger range. So here I'm sort of really mobilizing the upper thoracic, and it's really about the neck and the jaw and the eyes being soft. Any kind of neck issues are usually from holding and staring and not releasing control. So we need to sort of surrender and let go of control here. And with time, taking a lot of time, not doing that as fast as I did, with time, this area of the spine starts to wake up, because we have all these ribs connected to vertebrae, and this is a very stiff area for most people. It's around the heart. We're very frozen here, and we tend to overuse the neck and the lower back to compensate, because they're very mobile parts of the spine. They're there, they take a lot of impact, and they take too much impact when this area is immobilized. And you'll see even often with so-called flexible people doing back bends that the thoracic spine is almost straight, and all the bendings in the neck and the lower back. And then eventually there's wear and tear there, and or maybe there isn't. But I'm very interested in these vertebrae becoming alive. So if your back is becoming very rounded, it's just you're sort of becoming more static in the armoring of sitting, straining the eyes and the neck, and it's from many, many years of being a certain way. And what we're exploring here in Feldenkrais awareness through movement is to move in non-habitual ways you normally wouldn't think about in everyday life, not even in the gym. So, just very soft. Everything is very soft, and we're not going for being good at anything. We're just interested in our body, what's different from the right and the left. So this is a video designed for Colleen. You may remember some of these exercises from when you studied with me. It's also interesting to turn the palms inside out, and there's many different ways to play with this. But for me, I notice all the time, this is not about my shoulders and the arms, it's about my whole self. How is my pelvis responding? And those of you, sometimes actually my body's not ready to do all that first thing in the morning. Remember we did the windscreen wiper of the knees, and you may want to gradually make that into a bigger movement before exploring the thoracic spine. So for some of us, often for me, I have days where I just want to remind my pelvis that it's mobile and movable, and then I'll go into the rolling of the head, and then our little movements, our little micro movements here. And of course, I did offer you rolling the spine up and down. I'm not going for like full extent. I'm just moving, like I really want to learn about every vertebra in my body. I want to feel how it moves off the floor. Can I really float up with ease? And that was to help just to get the arms. So some people can't bring their arms overhead on the floor, they get stuck here. So when you learn to, it's an auxiliary movement to show the pelvis how it responds up into the thoracic spine, how that affects the shoulders and lifting of the head, how that sort of allows the chest to move down, because if the chest doesn't move, then we're very, very limited in our mobility. So by getting this thoracic spine to be able to move forward, back, up, down, we're in a very sort of basic way mobilizing or beginning to mobilize the upper thoracic, taking the strain off the neck and taking the strain off the lower back. So please feel free to ask any questions, because there's probably at least 3 or 4 little lessons in there to play with. Don't try to do it all at once. Just take a little section and play with that. Press pause in the video, maybe play with another little section. And as it's not like a full 45-minute lesson is what we normally have with awareness for movement, I've just given you little clues how to start your day, how to ease a little bit of neck pain and back pain.